Market update. Bitcoin dumping. Ben Armstrong sells Bencoin. Is meme coin party over? Why is Bitcoin down 3%? Well, if you want the answers to these questions, stay tuned. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, hit the like button. I am your host, Bill Noble. We are going to go through the news. So I'm going to tell you why it's going down even before we get to the charts to show you again why it's going down. And then we're going to talk memes. Specifically, I want to look at Ben, right? Family Guy. Okay. Ben, Family Guy. Oh, and don't forget Dad. Right. Dad. All the 90s cartoons are back. Okay, let's welcome who's here. We have Ashton, Eurorack, Rudy. What's going on? Ashton from the Midwest, right? Now, we got a couple things we got to talk about. We got to talk about meme coins, right? We got to talk about the U.S. default. Because actually, I'm making the call right now. I actually think they're going to do it. There's no incentive to get along. There's every incentive to blame the other side. And as the thumbnail states, you know, what happens to crypto in a default? What happens? Why is the dollar going up? We're going to get into all of this. So Rudy is definitely into Family Guy. Very interesting chart there. Okay. Bubba is here. Good afternoon. Right. He wants XDC and XLM. Don't let me forget. Okay. Jeff with the notorious love. Robert is here. Welcome. Okay. We're going to start ripping right into the news. Aging population already hitting government's credit rating. In crypto, we don't really need an excuse to trash governments or fiat. However, what is happening to governments is that they're getting to critical mass, both on political polarization and the fact that the birth rate is falling. Lower birth rate equals less taxpayers, all right? There is no social security fund. They take, taxes from current people and transfer them to retirees. Not enough taxpayers, not enough social security. Or more borrowing to fund social security, and our borrowing is already out of control. Now, normally, you don't care about this. Normally, crypto investors definitely don't care about this because we're like, whatever, man. We know your system is bull. We know that. Okay, but now it's got an impact. Now this stuff matters. TikTok faces the first ban in Montana. Now, normally I'd be kind of a pro-Montana kind of guy, right? They're so kind of, it's where you go to hunt deer and elk and cowboy hats. And, they actually, I believe this is the place, correct me if I'm wrong, where they sort of ran Liz Cheney out of town for opposing the 45th president of the United States. So TikTok is out. Now, is TikTok Chinese malware? Probably. Is there any more mal in their malware than what Silicon Valley puts out? I don't know, right? Somebody's listening on your phone. Does it really matter if it's what security service is listening? I don't like limiting free speech. When I talk to guys about gold, gold is a great world reserve asset, but crypto is freedom, right? Elon's got Twitter, so maybe this is less important, but the world doesn't need less freedom. Speaking of freedom, what if San Francisco never pulls out of the doom loop? Okay, so if you go with your classic fade to media, naturally you would say, oh, well, of course San Francisco is going to pull out of the doom loop because the media thinks it won't. However, if it doesn't, it's a very simple idea. You have wealth inequality. You have a government that doesn't necessarily believe in traditional law and order, at least not the way you would have it in a state like Texas. And the city effectively falls. It falls to an ideology that doesn't work. It falls to an un-American ideology. It's almost like somebody invaded it and took it over, except the invaders aren't on the outside, they're on the inside. This has a lot to do with crypto. A lot. Good luck trying to find a Walgreens in San Francisco to go shop at. Good luck finding a Walgreens that you can walk in and out of and not have to worry about looking over your shoulder. I don't know what they let you carry to defend yourself in San Francisco, but it can't be a robust solution like what they have in Texas. Wink, wink. Freedom to move around is not something you should take for granted. One of the reasons why I'm okay with meme coins is because they let you create what you want. They let you move your money around, even if it's insane. Because in San Francisco, freedom of movement, freedom of commerce is gone. It's gone. Now, the CFTC chair says DeFi exchanges will be regulated even if they're just code. Okay, man. 51 million Americans own crypto, and that number is going to triple in October. It's going to triple. And I'm going to show you all the charts why, because the black swan is already in progress. Yes, that's right. You heard it. The black swan may not be a Russian nuke. Matter of fact, I don't think it is. It's probably not a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. It's our debt default, or what happens to the image of U.S. debt if and when they sort it out. Right now, as I said, there's no incentive. So this guy thinks Uniswap is a problem. That's funny. This guy getting his paycheck is the problem. Now let's talk about inflation. Let's talk about how the Fed effed itself. And I have discussed this before, particularly on the GLDN Twitter Spaces. Let's talk about the insanity of the tightening cycle. So the Fed looks at the CPI number. Rents are included in the CPI number. Rents go up, the Fed hikes rates. Housing becomes less affordable. Home ownership becomes less affordable. Moreover, and this is new, homeowners with 3% 30-year mortgages, what's their incentive to sell? Unless they're forced to. There's no incentive to sell. There's no incentive to move. There's no incentive to even downsize, because you're going to get less for your house and pay way higher interest rates. So there's no supply of houses. So housing becomes unaffordable. You think higher mortgage rates will create more selling. It backfires. It creates less selling. So let's follow this. Rents go up. They hike rates. Nobody can afford to buy a house. Nobody wants to sell a house. Tighter supply of housing means everyone's got to go rent. Everyone's got to rent. There's two types of people in the world: people who can't afford to buy a house and people who don't want to sell one. So if there actually is a buyer out there, they can't find anything. So the people who can't afford a house need to rent, and the people who can afford a house need to rent. So what do rents do? They go up, and then the Fed sees the number and tightens, and then the number goes up, and we just keep going and going and going. I mean, New York City, crime out of control, record-breaking rents. This is the failure of the Fed. This is what happens when you hike rates 500 basis points in a year because you were so behind the curve. This is the case for crypto. Like, once they get done with sell in May and go away, this is the case for crypto. Traditional economics is broken. That's like a 15-second TikTok. Debt ceiling pressure threatens American prestige. No shit. Okay. It's not just our prestige. I think that was gone a long time ago, unfortunately. Unfortunately. What's on the line is the credibility of the entire U.S. financial system. which, as I will remind you, even though it's not that sexy, a finance textbook tells you that interest rates from government bonds are the foundation of finance. They're the risk-free rate. That means there's no risk to own a treasury, right? Because they can never default, right? So if the risk-free rate's not the risk-free rate, then you got to throw the whole finance textbook out. And the valuations of everything, because remember, the finance textbook is used to do valuation. So if you can't value anything, theoretically, Mr. Market has to re-auction everything. We have to have bulls and bears push each other around. So we're going to re-auction banks. We're going to re-auction government bonds. We're going to re-auction real estate. Nobody except the people who watch this show have seen a connection between the debt ceiling debacle, crypto, and the credibility of the whole U.S. financial system. Now, the other thing I'm going to introduce in this is not only does this affect government debt, crypto, but it's going to affect how hedge funds trade crypto, right? Hedge funds can't lose money in everything but crypto and just be like, okay, well, it's hodl. That's not how hedge funds work. We'll talk more about that later. Commercial real estate prices fall in the U.S. for the first time since 2011. Look out below. Again, it's probably not going to be triggered by anything in the commercial real estate market. It's going to be triggered by something with Uncle Sam. Jobless claims fall after they rose. All the numbers are a lie. Like, truth in economics is dead. The only truth in economics may be the price of Bitcoin, the price of Ethereum, and maybe the price of commodities like gold and oil, even though gold is manipulated. The only truth in economics is the price of crypto, up or down, right? They tell you the numbers. They say we're in a recession. We're not in a recession. No one actually knows. No one knows what's going on in the economy until it happens to you. Are high gas fees worth the pain? Now, let's talk about Ethereum and gas fees. I love listening to people complain about a $50 gas fee. 2020, 2021, when it was proof of work, we were paying like anywhere. I think one time to get out of a bad trade, like I made the brilliant decision to put money I needed for my taxes into a couple of altcoins. I think I traded out of it, but I think in order to get out of the last leg, just to scratch the trade and get my money back, I think it was a $600 gas fee. That story tells you something important, right? Because that was the end of the market, right? Bitcoin had topped. I thought altcoins were going to moon. Everything looked so great. And I bought the top. When you're paying a lot of money for gas on ETH, you're looking at a mania when the network is overloaded. It happened with Doge. It happened with SHIB. Listen, you got to be careful, right? The longer the meme coin game goes on, the faster you have to be on the draw. We will talk about whether or not you should buy the dip or not. Okay, SEC is saying Filecoin is a security. Grayscale is warning investors that they have to get out of their Filecoin trust. I mean, does anybody think okay, here's the shock jock approach to the SEC. The SEC wants to keep you down. The SEC wants to kill retail. No, they don't. The SEC wants to stop institutions from getting into the space. And that's not going to work because they know 500 million people are going to want crypto by October at the latest. Everybody's going to want it at the end of the year for Christmas. So when the SEC is trying to pick on whatever they're doing, they're just trying to slow it down at the institutional level, right? Retail can always get crypto and put it on a thumb drive. Don't laugh. And again, this is not an endorsement, not a financial advice. I actually just got a Bitbox, right? Because I'm not dealing with this whole Ledger thing, right? Ledger's going to tell me that their whole system is firewalled off from this subscription service. Oh my God, please. In other words, it's bad enough when we have to deal with the SEC, and sometimes crypto, as is always the case, is effing itself. And lo and behold, here is the Ledger stumble, right? I picked up Bitbox. You know, there's no way I'm going to put anything on a Ledger other than a nominal amount of money. A period. Right now, these guys, you know, Ledger, they're not really getting a fair deal, right? Ledger is saying, well, we're offering a subscription service for older people so that when they go to cold storage crypto, if they have a problem, they can get it back. Yeah, that's fine until the government really loses their mind and starts coming after everybody's crypto. You had gold confiscation and depression. It can happen again. Okay, Voyager is cleared to start repaying creditors. I think this could actually be a problem because I'm actually worried that in May or June, people could just start selling if there's a scare in the bond market that spooks crypto. It's happening right now. G7 must take charge of the lawless crypto space. Where were these guys when FTX blew up? Like, this is the shock jock thing that I do. There's no law in crypto. There's no enforcement. Dude, you had the biggest financial fraud in history occur right under your noses with Gensler meeting with the CEO of FTX. Did any of these guys in the government ever take accounting? Look at the books, maybe? Seriously. They never touched it. FedNow will connect with a blockchain. They're going to have to connect with a lot more blockchains, a lot more, to get a CBDC done. Yesterday, the GLDN private webinar, we talked about, you know, how Ripple is actually putting together plumbing. Like, they're going to go to central banks. Like, here's what's funny. The SEC comes down on Ripple. Ripple and XRP suffer in the meantime. So what's Ripple's new business model? Well, helping governments issue CBDCs. Ripple starts a platform for central banks, and it would be very controversial and very funny to have the XRP army wind up the enablers of CBDCs. Because there's no way I saw the tech stack for a CBDC at Consensus. Good luck with governments integrating that. Like, they can, you know, they can connect FedNow to one blockchain. How are they going to connect that to every blockchain? Forget about it. You know, private sector can't even get, you know, there's Cosmos, Polkadot's not operational yet. I mean, you're talking there's going to be interoperability at the government level. A CBDC is a political issue, not an investing issue. Investors track Pepe, looking to see what those whales do. So Pepe, probably the greatest meme coin story ever. Everyone's got a Pepe story, including me, where my co-host Toby used her outside the box method to pick it out of a group of 5 coins, only to see it get listed on Binance and moon beyond belief. Okay, like the internet bubble in 1999, like the NFT bubble, the profile pictures, you know, circle. When this is over, it's totally over, right? Like, holding trades in these sectors seems to make no sense. It's for trading. Okay. Pakistan finance minister says crypto will never be legal. Yeah, they've got Pakistan pegged as a money laundering country. You know, I actually worked with a couple people out of Pakistan, and I actually feel bad for them. The places where they need crypto the most, where they have these huge concentrations of poor people who need a stable currency, or at least a currency that's not a slave to the US dollar, they need crypto. Okay, Family Guy. So Family Guy, 30-minute chart, okay? This probably won't be good if you're looking at it over the weekend, but this looks like your classic run it up, unload, you know, huge percentage gain, I'm sure, on the way up here. Man, you got to be careful of who you're running into up here. Okay. Okay. This is the dad coin, right? From another 90s TV show, all the way up, all the way back down. this did happen a lot with internet IPOs in 1999. Yes, I know you were in diapers at the time. That's cool. But when you start to see coins that could have been cool 2 weeks ago go all the way up and all the way down, and then there is Ben. Okay, so Toby did pick Ben. The video's coming out, but I'll do the spoiler alert, right? So Toby picked Ben out of a group of altcoins. Okay, actually had a strong opinion on it, just like Pepe, right? So you'll have to see what she says about it. So it's not a spoiler video. You really should listen to Toby, not my translation of Toby. Okay, but BitBoy is not stupid. Okay, he's gotten a lot of attention for allegedly pumping and dumping these things. You know, I don't know what he paid or how much. It's almost like it looks like he made money to get everyone's attention for a week. Oh, and by the way, the Ben video is out today. So Toby's video is out today. She was pretty adamant about BenCoin, right? So it looks like BitBoy managed to somehow get paid, I think, for having everyone's attention on Twitter for 3 days. I mean, I don't have that kind of money, but I would pay to get everybody's attention on Twitter for 3 days. And don't worry, in October, I won't have to pay. The world's going to come to me. In the meantime, I've got to ride out meme coin season. I don't think it's a good idea to underestimate BitBoy. I really don't. I watched his 1 millionth, I watched the live stream. I stood in the hallway of the studio, in the doorway, and watched the stream that he did when he crossed 1 million followers. Now, with this, if it collapses, BitBoy wins, because then he becomes the most hated man on Twitter, garnering massive amounts of attention. Even if it's attention from regulators, it's still attention. Now, if this thing happens to fall out of bed, this square formation is what Pepe did. And the real issue with Ben is, does it hold prior support? Okay, the thing that's going for Ben is you never want to see this like spike way up and then have a second spike up. The fact that it's doing a flat consolidation, I don't know. I mean, obviously the market is trading terrible and the whole meme coin thing is going to come to an end. I have no idea whether this is a buy or not. Okay. When I look at the market cap, let me see if I'll give you the market cap. The market cap of Ben is 25 million. Now, I've been pretty loud about this, right? So I work at a company, Emerging Asset Group. We've got a couple projects, gold, water. We had a Twitter space today about, Block 47, which is putting the New York Diamond District on chain. Okay. Big influencers are going to be early customers. Our valuation, 6.19 million. 6.19 for gold, water, and diamonds, and 23 million for a social attention token. So somewhere in here, there's a mispricing. I don't want to underestimate BitBoy. I certainly have a huge amount of respect for him. Okay. But you got to start asking yourself, this coin that I'm chasing, what are they charging me for it? Like these obscure prices that they have in some of these coins, they obscure the total value that you're paying for them. Okay, let's switch from this. Let's welcome who else is here. Crypto Crazy Donato reminding you to hit the like button. Thomas, the Crypto Clan, is here. Okay. Alex likes the straightforward delivery. Appreciate that. Okay. Anyone watch Bitcoin Miami Day? Truly awful maxi lunatics, from Chatty Man. I got a chart of what happened at Bitcoin Miami in May of last year or after Bitcoin Miami. And I remember what happened with Bitcoin Miami in May of 2021. That was the first crypto conference after the pandemic lockdown where the entire cryptoverse was there. Okay. You always want to be careful about conferences. Last year, Consensus absolutely was like marked the end of the market. It's probably a superstitious thing, but the new moon may actually be more relevant. Yes, you thought you were going to get through a live stream without me bringing up Gann and astrology. Well, sorry, wrong. Okay, wrong. New moon is coming, and I don't like the Bitcoin Miami froth at all. Okay, wrong again. I did the GLDN chart. Pancakes and peanut butter in the house. Always vote for freedom. Steve J is here. Okay. Okay. Jeff says you can't fix stupid. No, you cannot. Miguel is here. A lot more crypto. AZ, Telmo, welcome. Bubba, what's going on? Okay, let's go to PowerPoint for your traditional market update. Some of you love it more than others. PowerPoint, very, very relevant, particularly if you're going to go back to what we have on the thumbnail, which is there going to be a default? Is there a black swan swimming in your pool? You wake up one morning and go, oh, wow, good morning. Let's have coffee. Oh, honey, look, there's a black swan shitting in our pool. It could be right in front of your face. And if you watch the way the market is trading, this could be right. Now, just as a note on crypto, okay, May 2021, like this was Bitcoin Miami. This was crypto volume on exchanges. And obviously, since they're attacking exchanges and people are way more interested in meme coins, like the liquidity is not on exchanges anymore. It's in these DEXs. You know, no one's interested in crypto. That's awesome for the long term. That's awesome for the long term. This is no one interested. Okay. No one's interested right now because we're going to go through this whole default thing, but don't lose hope. Because when these people up here, when they all come back in, oh my God. Now, speaking of, oh my God, someone's buying the dollar. Now, you're like, how do I reconcile this? How do I explain to everyone out there why the dollar is going up when we're talking about a debt default? It's easy and not easy. When you get an obvious trade, right? When you have commercial real estate, banks, the credibility of the currency, I don't think the credibility of the government bond market has come into question yet, but everybody knows the system is effed, right? So what does everybody do? Everybody gets short stocks. And what happens when everyone gets short stocks? They go up. Everyone gets short the dollar. What happens? The dollar goes up. Everyone gets long Bitcoin. What happens to Bitcoin? It goes down. Right? When trades are obvious, everyone gets the same way. Like the easy trades are the toughest trades because everyone knows it's going to happen. And frequently the way it works, which is what's happening right now, is that you have a P&L destruction event. Now, you've probably waited, if you have, bless you, right? Saying, okay, Bill, why is crypto dumping? It's dumping because everyone owns it, right? They're selling May and go away, but everyone is the same way. And like Soros in 2008, aka Magneto, right? If your position is too big or you're too impatient, you got to get in. You got to pay 28 for Bitcoin. Actually, no, you don't. No, you don't. You can wait. They may sell Bitcoin to you at 22. So if the dollar is going up, it's got nothing to do with the dollar. It has to do with everyone's positioning in the foreign exchange market. Now, retail in the US, to keep things very brief, has never been more bearish and never been more short. Like triple leveraged ETFs, they can't get enough. Open interest is huge. So the S&P made in a little 5-wave structure. I don't know if that's kind of a top because, again, they just keep squeezing these shorts out, right? S&P doesn't move much, but look at NDX because this is what retail is shorting, by the way, right? I mean, NDX is up only. Now, I don't know. Obviously, they're going to run all the stops through this level. But this is what happens when everyone gets the same way. Now, let's talk about Ethereum. Since the bottom in November, Ethereum has been kind of working on a 90-day cycle, meaning from the low over here to the high over here was 90 days. So frankly, as far as I'm concerned, every 90 days, I'm looking for some sort of top. Okay. May 19th or May 21st comes in for Ethereum as a possible point where it could start going lower, right? This is what I've been talking about for a while, right? Sell in late May and go away. Now, I kind of assumed there would have been like way more of a rally. Me and everyone else, that's why you get a head and shoulders top. Frequently, the bullish push, like the bulls are like, yeah, we're going to go. Yeah. And then bears are like, sorry. And that's when everybody goes, oh shit, and they bail. So if this formation is right, I mean, you could be looking at sub 1500 ETH, which is frightening. You know, Bitcoin is operating on the same 90-day cycle. So start here, go out 90 days. Boom, there's your top. Start here, go out 90 days. Boom, 520 or 520 could be your top, right? Sell in May and go away. Okay, this head and shoulders top targets 22K, and it's even more interesting. It's another Gann number from the FTX low to the recent high. That was 144 days. So multiples of 12, it's very Gann. Multiples of 5 and 45, that's very Gann. Okay, you have a new moon coming up. Now, believe it or not, I actually hate the thing on TradingView that plots new moons and full moons because people like to plot it and say, you know, one type of moon is a bottom, one is a top. That really depends on what other planetary stuff's going on at the same time. However, it is worth noting the new moon is coming up. There was a huge new moon dump last year. The last 3 new moons have resulted in either a range or a correction of some kind. Sometimes you have one final leg up like here before it falls out of bed. Sometimes the new moon is said to be infused with the energy of Saturn, which is generally a wrecking ball in markets. Okay, so new moon coming up, Gann research indicating certain things may be toppy. The one thing in crypto, if you've been listening to all of this, the one thing in crypto that you don't want to happen, you don't want to get stopped out or rugged because every single dollar of capital that you can get invested on dips in May, maybe September, and if there even is one, a dip in November off the solar eclipse. You are going to want to come out of this year long AF. Yes, I know that life-changing money was made in meme coins. But life-changing money can also be made over a 2 and 3 year period using something like Bitcoin, particularly if you need it to pay for things. So don't get wrecked. Now, in Ethereum, there is a tactical case for this to be a wave 4 up, meaning kind of like the final uptick before something bad happens. And you could make a case that it's got to fall below the bottom of the 3 wave. So you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, last uptick, boom. It could happen. Bitcoin 4-hour chart, right? It's kind of caught me by surprise. A little 13 top going sideways, boom, down. This is actually lower now than when I put this up here. So market reacting to bearish signals. And of course, you know, you got a lot of stuff happening. You got that Gann work I showed you about, you know, there's a Jupiter seasonality that can actually wreck bubbles. It can create it, but can also wreck them. And then you also have the geopolitical risk that I can come at from every cycle that's on every live stream that I've done to the point where I've overdone it. Will you wake up one morning and have a black swan in your pool, or is the black swan already in everyone's pool? We're just ignoring it. Every big mistake starts with denial, and that's the market update. Just kidding. Just kidding. Now, bonds. More stuff you don't want to talk about. U.S. government losing credibility. The true victory time for crypto. True. But you're going to have to watch long bond interest rates go to 5% first, right? In other words, U.S. long-term interest rates could go up anywhere from 50 to 100 basis points. Like massively go higher. Now, interest rates go up when bonds go down, and bonds go down when people sell them. Why do people sell them? Well, because either they think interest rates are going up, which is not the case, right? The market thinks long-term interest rates should go down. People dump bonds because there's either no liquidity, the government that issued or the entity that issued the bonds loses credibility, or both. They have to refinance 30% of $31 trillion over the next 6 months. So the government will be selling massive amounts of bonds. Who's going to buy them? And if you're currently holding them, you're asking yourself, well, gee, if the government's going to keep selling, shouldn't I sell first? And if you're wondering why Bitcoin is dumping, this is why. Because higher interest rates spook crypto. This is what happened in 2017, 2018, right? There was a Fed tightening cycle back then. And last year ended with FTX, but it started with the Fed panic tightening. Okay, just so you're up to speed on the debt ceiling from ChatGPT. What's the debt ceiling? Well, I don't know. It's just a thing we invented. It's been raised 78 times since 1960, and it's now a political weapon. Okay, the Democrats want to raise it. The Republicans want spending cuts. You know what? They want to default. Like everyone's like, oh, they're going to sort it out. Really? You sure about that? Because you know what? These two parties hate each other so much. They were like, yeah, we defaulted. Like President whatever is the first president in a long time to have a default on U.S. debt. It's his fault. It's a way to embarrass the administration. They don't want to get along. They want to fight with each other. There were state legislatures in Florida in favor of Governor DeSantis's idea about not allowing a CBDC in Florida, but they couldn't go along with it because it was proposed by a Republican. If the debt ceiling is not raised by June 1, the Treasury runs out of cash. Okay, they may have to go to extraordinary measures. This could lead to missed Social Security, Medicare, military salaries, interest on the debt, and more. So let's go back to extraordinary measures. That will be the next buzzword coming out of Janet Yellen. Naturally, you're going to hear it first here on the market update. Even if they sort this out, I actually think it's more bearish if they look like morons finally clumsily sorting it out, where everyone just goes, wow, guys, great show. Bravo. I'm selling, as in your bonds, right? Just unloads. Commercial real estate and regional banks are not going to crack by themselves. They've stopped short selling. It's a known trade. The only way to shock the system is to have everybody wake up one day and goes, wow, that black swan in my pool. Guess I should have paid attention to that. Okay, Litecoin. Let's talk about it. First of all, love Litecoin. Love the fact that, the ordinals, the functionality that is now on Litecoin and Bitcoin. Just love it. Always been a Litecoin fan. I know there's all these reasons why it's not great, but the idea of fast Bitcoin has always been really appealing. The thing that bothers me about Litecoin is that every time Litecoin or Dash or Zcash, Moon, this has been going on for 2 years, the whole market dumps. So as soon as you go, oh my God, look at this relative outperformance in Litecoin, boom. Right, which is exactly what's happening as I talk. Now, I've done a couple shows. This is total altcoin market cap. So total market cap without Bitcoin and Ethereum. Done a couple shows with a couple guys looking at Market Cypher, looking at Total 3, going, this looks terrible. Like, you know how they squeezed out all coins yesterday? Stuff looked like it was going to the moon. And the whole thing fails. Beware the failed rally. If you have a debacle in long bonds, if you have a U.S. government default, altcoins get wrecked. Speculative assets can never, ever survive the long bond, which is why I had a coworker, right? His English was not the best. I think he did it on purpose. He used to have a joke that the long bond, he used to call it the long bomb. Because when that thing moves, the whole legacy system shakes. And no speculative assets survives a rise in long-term interest rates. Take my word for it. So if this continues, Total 3 could get decimated. I mean, if they take ETH down to 1,500, where is all this sludge going to be? And this says nothing about the rug in meme coins. In other words, I know Ben has got some TA people, or at least he's got a couple market cipher guys. They're going to need to pay attention and maybe hedge the Ben exposure. The only way to hedge meme coin exposure is to sell ETH or other altcoins. Bitcoin dominance. So you've got a diamond formation here at the top of the range. Obviously when you break out of a diamond, whichever way you break out, it explodes. This is the 3-day chart. Now I know Steve J thinks it's going to 52. I'm actually wondering if it goes to 72 by the time October is said and done. You got to think about this, particularly with the whole meme coin mania. In other words, my YouTube numbers, are mixed at best because, by the time my producer finds meme coins, right, they're all the way up and all the way back down by the time I can get it on a chart. But if you got a problem in altcoins, I mean, the last thing anyone's talking about right now is a problem with altcoins. And if you're at Bitcoin Miami, the last thing that they're probably talking about is something wrong with Bitcoin. So let's talk about what could go wrong with Bitcoin. I am probably the only YouTube influencer not at Bitcoin Miami this year. What could go wrong with Bitcoin? Well, you got to remember, in crypto, Bitcoin is your dad's crypto. It's the crypto of the maxis. It's the ultimate crypto. It's not a security. Yeah, that's in crypto. But in legacy, Bitcoin is the gambling altcoin. It's the altcoin of the legacy universe. So let me explain to you how risk management works at hedge funds. Because everyone benefits when hedge funds buy altcoins, when hedge funds buy Bitcoin. So what happens? If this goes back to the question, why is crypto dumping? Okay, let me tell you. So a hedge fund will have sort of like a person who takes care of the dogs. Those are the positions the company has. And there'll be 4 dogs in cages, all stacked on top of each other. So one dog is stocks, the other dog is bonds, the other dog is like, say, legacy FX and commodities, and the other dog is crypto. So what happens when one of the dogs starts barking loud? Like the stock dog, it's fine. The dollar dog is barking because they're short the dollar and it's going up. So what happens when 1 or 2 dogs start barking? All 4 dogs start barking. Now, in this metaphor, when the dogs start to bark, the algorithms that manage risk say, I don't care whether you like your asset or not. If the dog associated with your asset is barking, sell. They don't care. The algorithm doesn't care. The algorithm loves low volatility up. So like stocks, love it. Love that stuff. But you start to get volatile, or it starts to go down against you and get volatile, the computer's like, sell. Like, I can't sell Bitcoin at 29K. It's going to be at 86 next year. That the computer doesn't care. They're just hitting the sell button. And they're hitting the sell button, 7 days from when New York is about to leave from Memorial Day. So you have a liquidity problem. So if you're going to sell, you better hurry up. So if you're going to sell, you better hurry up in bonds, and you have it in crypto. So Bitcoin dominance probably going up, but they're probably not thinking about the dog barking model at Bitcoin Miami. The best time to have Bitcoin Miami would have been at Christmas, because that way all this BS would have been over with. Legacy would have, burned. Then you can go ballistic long Bitcoin. But they're going to pump it, and then it's going to wind up dumping in their face. Now, this is GLDN. Talked about this a couple times. Not going to belabor the point. It was 45 days up from 5 cents to $5, right? Pumped on a solar eclipse at the end, topped on a lunar. You had 90 plus 90, 180-day bear market. You had the final dump on the solar eclipse, the final bottom on a lunar, and now it's going up. Or it's trying to go up. $6 million market cap. My Twitter and the Gold Retriever Twitter has Mind Your Biz, a YouTube influencer and technologist, talking about how many people at Bitcoin Miami that he's talking to about our new venture, Block 47, which will eventually increase the prestige of the firm and have revenue flowing in to consume the token. We are tokenizing the New York Diamond and Jewelry and Gold District, so you never have to go through a bank to buy it. Again, what is the valuation of your meme coin? In other words, okay, let's pretend you don't care about GLDN. You don't want to hear it. Okay. This is a product. It's from a group called Emerging Asset Group. So we're going to do real stuff, commodities on the blockchain. And this coin, this project, as of now, is worth roughly $6 million. And we're doing real stuff. Real businesses are coming online. So if your meme coin is worth $6 million and your meme coin is vaporware, well, either, I work here, I own this coin. So either my coin is overvalued or your coin is overvalued. And if you got something trading at 25 million, you better see someone down there buying the dip in order for you to get involved, right? Like, again, Toby picked it out of a crowd. I'm definitely not going to fade Toby after what I saw with Pepe. But I do think GLDN is useful, and that $6 million is a good barometer for what I believe is a depressed low-cap project. So if you have vaporware and it's worth $600,000, you want to play? All right. But if you have vaporware and it's worth $30 million, you best recompute with what's going on with interest rates. And that is the market update. Okay, let's see what we got going on here in the chat. Okay, Telmo is talking about a life-changing October. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Okay, so Bitcoin is no longer down 3%. It's roughly down 2%. Nobody wants to sell. I get it. Okay, I get it. Okay. Okay, so Cheryl is here. Welcome. Somebody wants to know what's the deal in October. Okay, that's a good question. Let me see if I got the book. Here's the book. Okay, the book is not currently available, but there's a guy named Chris Carolyn who won an award in Barron's, that's the Wall Street Journal weekend, for doing work on solar events, tides, lunar eclipses, etc., and how that related to major October stock market events. Right. And I'm pretty sure, based on ChatGPT, this was back early when ChatGPT would actually read the book. You could query a book. Like, I owned the book, so it's not like I was stealing anything, but ChatGPT would find it on the web and query it. Now, they pulled that. There's going to be a 1929 event in October, according to this guy's work. And I have no reason to think it's not going to happen. So, I mean, Legacy is going to come unglued, right? It's not fresh information, right? Everyone's going to get squeezed out in equities, right? Everyone's going to think $1 in stocks is better than $1 in the bank. And then something's going to happen, right? The U.S. government, the perception of the U.S. government is going to change, right? Don't doubt that if there was ever actually a default or something that happened that was awful for our system, that our enemies wouldn't attack us from a military point of view. Cyber, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not good. It's not good at all. Right? Not good at all. And it's going to happen in October. And then after October is when you're going to come out and want to be furiously effing long crypto, particularly into the end of the year. Right? October is when the decoupling between Bitcoin and crypto occurs. I'm sorry, between Bitcoin and legacy. Notice I did not say altcoins and legacy, right? Bitcoin could be hugely volatile. And I know in crypto, like it's May, I'm talking about I in July and let it fly. And maybe I'm talking about a September and November buy period. You want to be ready for October. I'm getting you ready now. Okay. Wrong again says not selling ETH for a hedge for Ben. Okay. I get it. I get it. But if there are large holders of meme coins and they can't get liquidity in meme coins, they're going to sell something. They're going to sell something liquid, and that could be ETH. Okay. Okay. Steve J. India just reopened crypto banking. Hong Kong is opening up in June. A ton of cash on the sidelines. Yeah, man. That's why as soon as they get done hitting it in June, for whatever reason, there's people going to be down there buying it. And who knows? You know what? It's not good for content creation, but since I'm in the crypto industry, it's good. I would love it if this thing just sat there and we just were like, up 3%, down 3%. That's just what we did. But again, the trade for Bitcoin's obvious. U.S. legacy melts down, Chinese retail coming back. These are all known factors. So if people get long, knowing the known factors, when they get stopped out is the entry point. I know. It's just crazy. Why can't we all be friends? That's a good question. When I was a little kid, back in the 1980s, I would hear stories about how politicians, like the Democrats and the Republicans, they would argue all day on television, especially. They would look like they were fighting all day, and they would all go to the same bar at the end of the day and party together. It was theater. Now, there's still probably a lot of theater, but I don't know. There's a lot of hate. Like there still is a situation in the United States where people of opposing political views cannot be like romantic partners or even friends. That's how volatile it is, particularly if there's a trial with the 45th president of the United States involving the state of Georgia. I mean, it's hot here in the United States. You can't always see it. Okay. Jamie says it feels like the bear market is endless. Okay. So let's talk about that. Bear markets can bore you to death, right? So can bull markets. But a lot of times, the thing you have to deal with in bear markets is boredom. Okay? Boredom. No, I do not have DeMark work for Guy. Really, it's got to be listed before I can get DeMark work on like a centralized exchange. Now, I know the bear market in altcoins feels like it's never going to end. Okay? I know that. I get it. You have to ask yourself, do I want to be in the coins for the last cycle? Now, my answer to that is no. Okay, so here's Pepe. This is a 4-hour chart of Pepe. Okay, share screen. So here's the 13 bottom on the 4-hour chart. No real uptick. Okay, like you had a DeMark 9 bottom down here, and you got this robust bounce, but it came to resistance and failed. You got to start asking yourself a very important question about Pepe, right? You got to say to yourself, all right, well, Pepe is not the problem, right? Because it's now a huge coin. Okay, but there's a huge gap here. What happens if this gap gets filled? Okay, and then there's also the idea that Pepe had massive headlines on the way up. And it can have massive headlines on the way down. So if you have signals on a 4-hour chart and you're not getting a bump in Pepe, maybe you should start asking yourself, can Pepe go all the way back down to this low from the 12th? Right? Because as soon as Pepe got listed, this is just like listed Pepe. It went straight down. So right now, the DeMark work on Pepe would say that, you probably got another 2 down days. You gotta think hard about meme coins. If you're one of these fast money trading types, great. Okay. Great. Filibuster is here. Good afternoon. Okay. Steve J. Greed, one of the 7 deadly sins. Okay. Rinky Donk. Ooh, I like this. We can't be friends because we don't want to live under communism or religious law. Most of us prefer Western freedoms. Crypto is freedom. Don't let them push you out of crypto. If you have to puke your crypto at the low, right? If you got caught chasing this, and then come October, when the decoupling happens, you won't say, oh, well, who cares about what's happening in crypto now, because I'm going to let the fact I did make life-changing money in Pepe affect every trade I make thereafter. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Now, on a final note, Jessit says, why is sub 1,500 ETH frightening? I would love to buy ETH sub 1,500. Sir, you are absolutely right. There is nothing frightening about sub 1,500 ETH except for what could create sub 1,500 ETH, which is a meltdown in our bond market. Okay, so, right now, ETH, this is a 4-hour chart, and absolutely nothing is happening. So you had a range, you had a spike up, you had a range, you'll probably have a spike down, and it'll probably come straight back to 1,800. There's nothing scary about 1,500 ETH. 23,000 Bitcoin is like Christmas. The thing is, though, if you get it down there, what pushes it down there? Right? Either we just sit here, which doesn't make for really good TV content, okay? Or there's a black swan in your pool, and it's wearing an Uncle Sam hat. That's the market update for this week. We will see you next time.